The infatuation that a certain subsection of black men have for white women has always fascinated me. Bunny hopping are a stain on the black community because of the way that they uphold the matriarchs of white supremacy. These kind of men will do any and everything in order to attain and maintain a white woman, even if it means their own destruction. Recently, I came up with a term for this kind of behavior after watching It Welcome to Derry and seeing how Hank Grogan completely blew up his life just so that he could hunch on a 60-year-old white woman that's married to a racist. Hank Grogan is one of the many black men that suffers from Pink Nipple Psychosis, or PMP, and today I will be talking about the various levels of this illness and how it not only affects the men, but also the black community overall. For those of you PMP patients that are going to bitch and moan and say, well, what about the black women that exclusively date white men? Those women are very sick as well, and they would be diagnosed with what I like to call pink penis psychosis, or PPP. And their symptoms are very similar, but the side effects vary, and we'll get into that later on in the video. Pink nipple psychosis has 4 stages: the swirler, the bunny hopper, the black queens never, snow bunnies forever, and the last stage, RG3 and Shannon Sharp syndrome. And depending on the black man's mental stability, finances, career, level of ignorance, or environment, a black man can go directly to stage 4 and end up just like Shannon Sharp, talking about some big black man chokes out little white girl. I'm dropping dick off. Oh. It's very scary because of just how quickly this illness can take, but all hope is not lost. There is a cure, but before I give you a remedy, I want to talk through all 4 stages so that you can recognize the signs in yourself or your loved ones. Stage 1, the swirler. The swirler is the beginning stage of pink nipple psychosis and is the most insignificant yet significant stage because it affects all black men that date outside of their race. Even if they only date women of color and exclude white women, they still have a benign coonship that's dormant and could randomly get activated if stimulated in the right way. Some people stay in stage 1 forever or fully get cured once they find their forever home with a black queen, or just stop swirling altogether. However, the longer a black man swirls, the more likely he is to fall deeper into PMP, so you have to be careful, be mindful. There isn't anything inherently wrong with swirling. In fact, I think that is needed in order to create a better society, because the sharing of ideas and cultures, without appropriation of course, from different races and ethnicities can lead to less systemic racism, bigotry, and create harmony because it makes people create empathy and compassion for those that look different than them and come from different backgrounds. Swirling only becomes an issue when there's a fetishization for other races, and that right there is exactly why stage 1 is so significant. Because once you start to fetishize other races, you lose empathy for the person that you're dating. You no longer see them as a person capable of thinking, have an interest, or has things that may make them a viable partner. You only see them as something that can satisfy your personal sexual desires and making them like subhuman in your mind. Normally when someone fetishizes another race, they aren't dehumanized. It's only the victim of their fetish, whether it's a person with a black, Hispanic, or an Asian fetish. But when it comes to black people or other people of color who have a fetish for white folks, the person of color dehumanizes themselves because they're upholding whiteness and seeing it as superior, making themselves essentially sex slaves for the oppressor. Once a swirler develops a fetish for pink nipples, they are now in stage 2 of PMP. Stage 2, the bunny hopper. The bunny hopper is the second stage of PMP, where the swirler goes from dating all races to only dating white women. And as mentioned before, the jump from stage 1 to stage 2 is a development of a fetish for pink nipples. From this point on, the stages of PMP can be determined by how extreme the fetish for white women is. The stronger the fetish, the deeper the psychosis, and the more likely the black man is to ruin his life and endanger his community. The bunny hopper is a black man who makes jokes about his love for pink nipples, and in the grand scheme of things, it's very innocent compared to like stages 3 and 4, but there's still a chance for danger to the bunny hopper and to the black community due to the destruction that may ensue from PMP. The bunny hopper normally dates cutie white women, athletic white women, and thick white women. The thick and athletic white women are highly sought after due to lust and also hopes of D1 babies, and many ball players and rappers fall under stage 2 PMP and stay in this stage because they don't have enough time or brain power to think any further than physical attraction. They spend so much time in the studio, in the gym, or in the field, and they normally don't think about the things that would cause them to develop stage 3 PMP. There's almost a sort of beauty in their ignorance, and that's not to say that all rappers and athletes are dumb, because it takes a different level of intellect to rap and play sports at a professional level. For rappers, the ability to write, freestyle, switch flows, and find what pockets to rap in is extremely difficult and requires a different level of genius. For athletes, the amount of real-time brain computing, mind-to-body connection, and discipline needed to play professionally is insane, and not many people can do it. Both are intelligent in different ways, however, that doesn't stop them from being ignorant niggas in other aspects of their lives, but I digress. The thing that drives the fetish further, leading to one to fall into stage 3, is resentment towards black women due to rejection and bad treatment. We've all heard that sob story of, oh, my mama, my sister, or that girl I went to school with treated me wrong and didn't want me, so I started dating white women and I started getting treated better instantly. Statements like this are a way of coping due to their bad choices in women, inadequacy for being desirable, and not wanting to take accountability for their past dating habits. And these statements will never make sense, because if you think that a black woman won't love you for being you, genuinely, what makes you think that a white woman will? It doesn't make any sense, especially when you think about the fact that we live under white supremacy and you think that a white woman's gonna love you for your blackness and your black features. Come on, bruh. That white woman is not gonna love you for your nigga nose, especially if she's a racist. And if she does love you for that, then you're being fetishized, and that's not a good thing. Stage 3, black queens never, snow bunnies forever. Once the coon builds up enough resentment, they're officially in stage 3 and develop that black queens never, snow bunnies forever mindset. This is the point where these niggas start cracking anything because they're white. A stage 3 PMP patient will date just about any archetype of white woman, whether they're a gutter bunny, earthy white, corporate, fat, or even racist. It's at this point where they fully lost all self-respect and their love for blackness. They become black men that not only hate black women, but hate themselves as well. This is where you find many black men who are like baby Republicans, and it's at this point to where they fully denounce their blackness. Stage 3 is also where you find where black men start spewing the super duper red pill white supremacist talking points about black women being loud, ghetto, and unfit to be partners, spouses, or mothers, but in a more vulgar and racist way. They completely disregard the fact that they have black mothers, sisters, aunties, and cousins, and if a black man in stage 3 is able to enter a long-term relationship with a white woman, the more years that they have together, the more likely he is to forget that he's a black man. Think, I'm not black, I'm OJ, but it's not okay, because you are a nigga, and you will always be a nigga to these white folks, no matter if you're a doctor, lawyer, drug dealer, businessman, or even the presidents of the fucking United States. All they see is a nigga, and that's all you will ever be to them. And that right there is exactly why Pink Nipple Psychosis is very dangerous. And I know it seems like I'm joking, bruh, but I'm being sober when I say this. Like, it's a form of psychosis that develops due to an extreme fetish for white women. When you look at the definition of psychosis, it can be described as several mental conditions where a person's thoughts and emotions are affected so much so that they lose their hold on reality. And if a that thinks he's not black anymore because of his proximity to whiteness due to his attraction to white women, or his relationship with white women doesn't fit the definition of psychosis, then I don't know what does, man. I don't know what does. These are very sick individuals that are in dire need of rehabilitation. The thing that sets apart stage 3 from stage 4 is that a stage 3 PMP patient will do almost anything to attain and maintain a white woman, but a stage 4 PMP patient will stop at nothing to suckle from some pink nipples. Stage 4, RG3 and Shannon Sharp syndrome. It's at this point where lust fully takes over the coonship, and everything this man does is for the attention and love of a white woman. Stage 4 PMP patients are not human anymore. They're only acting on lustful instinct. They're overly consumed by their infatuation for white women, and this is where the I'm not black, I'm OJ mindset fully is developed. They're lustful creatures, and while I realize the implications of calling a black man a lustful animal or a lustful beast may be seen as anti-black, I'm willing to be an anti-black hypocrite. I'm sorry. Because a coon of this magnitude should not be allowed in the black community until he's ready for rehabilitation. And honestly, I think that this can apply to any man or woman that's consumed by lust, because I feel like if your only driving factor in life to get you to move forward is lust, you have no place in society. But that's a conversation for another day. Stage 4 PMP patients are where niggas like Hank Grogan fall, because they ignore any gut feeling they have when they deal with white women. They don't vet these women to see if they're going to cause harm in any way, shape, or form, whether that be physically, mentally, or financially. In the case of Hank Grogan, he was hunching on a married white woman that was 60 years old. This is crazy on many levels. The first one being, she wasn't even a young shorty. Like, well, what are you doing, bruh? Like, I love cougars, man. I love an older woman. I love a MILF. But that doesn't mean I'm going to put my life on the line or my family's lives on the line for some old cougar coochie. Like, what are we doing? I don't want to get lynched for that shit. And honestly, I feel like if you were bunny hopping from the early 1900s to like the 1980s, you're a stage 4 PMP patient, or at the very least a stage 3. Stage 4 PMP patients are men that have done a lot of damage to the black community for many reasons. The first one being they aid in the delusions of white people. They allow white people to stay ignorant because they think that racism isn't bad because they're friends with a black person, not knowing that their black friend is someone who's anti-black. Another way that they hurt the community is by causing division. These Negroes tend to be very vocal about their distaste for black women, and since we live under patriarchy and men love hating on women, black men that actually do date black women will join in on the belittlement of black women. The third way these men damage the black community is by giving birth to mixed children who are most likely going to be just like them. With a as a father and a white woman as a mother, the chance of this happening are very likely. Obviously, there can be exceptions to this, but like I feel like with those two kind of parents, that child will have to be possessed by the ancestors. Now that we discussed the 4 stages of pink nipple psychosis, let's talk about PMP versus PPP. If you remember at the beginning of the video, I mentioned pink penis psychosis, and you may think that the only difference is genitalia, and to a certain extent, it kind of is. But PPP is just a mild version of PMP. I know that may make a lot of you nig cells pissed off, but it's the truth. It doesn't really have anything to do with the black women. It has everything to do with the white man. The reason why PMP is more dangerous than PPP is because the damage that PNP can cause is greater due to the fact that society doesn't really care about the well-being of black women. A white man is only going to cause harm to the black woman he's dating, not the community. Because if he's a racist, he's going to see her as expendable, and when he feels like he has nothing that he can get from her and she has nothing to offer him anymore, he's just going to move on. Since white women are to be protected, white men will come out of the woodwork to ensure their purity and safety is upheld through physical violence or through verbal means or even on like social media. This is why a lot of lynchings and burning and bombing of black communities happened. In cases where lynchings happen due to white women being assaulted, most of the time it happened from a white woman that was hunching on a Negro behind her man's back, or by white men that were looking for an excuse to kill him. White men love to use the safety of a white man's body to justify violence against black and brown bodies. Now we're at the point in the video where I'm going to give you sick Negroes the remedy to cure you from your PPP or PNP. The remedy for pink nipple psychosis and pink penis psychosis is simply to love yourself. Love your melanated black skin. Love the kinks in your hair. Realize how blessed you are to be a black person, whether you're a man, woman, or non-binary, to be a part of a race of people that not only fight through struggles and adversity of mass proportions, but thrive in spite of it. Love for one's blackness is the only way to cure pink nipple psychosis and pink penis psychosis. PMP and PPP are serious afflictions that can be life-altering, but the silver lining in all this is that it's never too late to be treated for this illness. Once you left your bunny hopping ways in the past, the black community will be there with not so much like welcome in arms, but we will dap you up and very much remind you of the crazy shit that you said in the past. And that's something that's needed because PMP is also like an addiction. And if you know anything about addiction, you know that once you're an addict, you're always an addict. If you or a loved one is suffering from PMP or PPP, please call 1-800-UMAR to get the help that you need. This is something that's a little bit different than what I've been doing recently, but like if you've been watching me from the jump, you know that I was kind of doing shit like this from, you know what I'm saying? And I am very much joking with this shit, but I think there's a lot of validity to what I'm saying. And I do think that in order for the black community to overcome the issues that we have, whether that be like racism or self-hatred or addiction and the issues that we have with like relationships wise, the only way for us to get past everything that we have is to do it together and to love ourselves and love each other. You know what I'm saying? I think there's a lot of stuff going on in the community and outside of the community that makes us want to like be apart from each other and drive division between us. But I think there genuinely needs to be more messages around loving each other, because the backbone of the black community has always been community, and that's something that we've been lacking recently. You know what I'm saying? Obviously we are together, but social media wise, there's so many messages and agendas that are being pushed to keep us apart and from loving each other. Because at the end of the day, these white motherfuckers, these racist white motherfuckers know that we are stronger together. And I'm not saying in order to be pro-black, you need to date within your race, because I think that's silly. You know what I mean? But I do think that there needs to be genuine care and love for your fellow black man and your fellow black woman. And I think it's very important, especially now, because we are dead ass all that we got, man. And anybody that's talking about relationships online and saying that like black men this, black women this, block them, bro. Stop paying attention to that shit. Cause they're grifting. They're very much grifting, and they're doing that shit for a check because they know that kind of attention gets money. But if you made it to the end of the video, thank you for the view. I appreciate it. If you like the video, go ahead and give me a like. If you like what I'm talking about, give me a subscription and hit that bell. I'll be talking about music and some more shit. And to my loyal subs, I like it, baby. Yeah, 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 yeah. But that's the end of the video.